If you're a business owner, an accountant, or a tax practitioner in India, you need to listen up. There's a landmark Supreme Court judgment that tackles one of the biggest, most stressful problems in the world of GST. And honestly, it could save you a world of trouble. So picture this. You've done everything right. You've paid your suppliers, you've filed all your returns perfectly, you've ticked every single box. But then, bam, you get a notice and your tax credit is denied. And why? Not because of anything you did, but because of a mistake your supplier made. I mean, that's the kind of thing that gives business owners nightmares. And that's exactly what we're digging into today, because the Supreme Court has come through with a really powerful verdict that acts as a major shield for honest taxpayers. The bottom line, the big takeaway, is simple, but it's so important. If you're a genuine, compliant buyer, you are protected. So how did we even get to this point? Well, it all circles back to one specific case, the case of a company called Shanti Kirana, and they found themselves stuck in what you could call the classic good faith buyer's dilemma. See, Shanti Kirana was like the model student of GST compliance. They did everything by the book. They had the valid invoice? Check. They paid their supplier, GST and all? Check. They actually got the goods they paid for? Yep. And they filed their own returns perfectly? You bet. Now, this checklist, it isn't just a story detail. This is the proof, the absolute proof you need to show that you are a bona fide, good faith buyer. As far as they were concerned, the deal was done, and it was done right. But even with that perfect record, the tax department turned around and denied their claim for input tax credit, the ITC. And you know how crucial that is. It's the credit you use to offset the tax you've already paid. For Shanti Kirana, losing that credit wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a serious financial blow. And the reason they were being penalized? This is the wild part. It had absolutely nothing to do with what Shanti Kirana did. The problem was their supplier. The supplier collected the GST money from Shanti Kirana and then just never deposited it with the government. So the buyer was being punished for the seller's mistake. So you can see how this situation created a huge legal question, one that had to go all the way up to the Supreme Court. This wasn't just about some complicated tax regulation. It was really about the basic idea of what's fair and what's just. The question the court had to answer was actually pretty simple, but its implications were massive. Should a business that has followed every single rule, that has acted in total good faith, be punished because someone else in the supply chain messed up? Is it really fair to put the burden of a supplier's failure onto the shoulders of the honest buyer? So what did the court say? Well, they didn't beat around the bush. The Supreme Court tackled this head-on with a remarkably clear and decisive verdict, one that finally brought some justice for the honest purchaser. The court's entire logic was basically summed up in one powerful line. The judges said in no uncertain terms that tax recovery should come from the one who actually defaulted, the supplier. The tax department has to go after the party that failed to pay, not the compliant buyer who already did everything they were supposed to do. Okay, now this is super important. This protection isn't some blanket get-out-of-jail-free card. The court drew a very, very clear line in the sand. On one side, you have the bona fide or genuine purchaser. You followed the rules, you met the conditions, your input tax credit is protected. But on the other side, if there's any fraud, any collusion, any funny business with fake invoices, then forget it. This protection is off the table. So let's get out of the legal theory for a second. What does this ruling practically mean for your business on a day-to-day basis? Well, the impact is huge. For starters, this ruling is a powerful shield for genuine businesses. It should mean we see fewer of those arbitrary ITC cancellations. It also reduces the risk of having your ITC blocked while the authorities try to figure out who's at fault. And that gives honest taxpayers like you way more confidence, knowing that your compliance actually means something. Plus, it forces the department to focus their energy where it belongs, on the people who actually defaulted. So really, if there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this simple fact. The system cannot punish an honest buyer for a supplier's mistake. If you've done your part, your rights are now much, much clearer. This judgment also kind of elevates the status of input tax credit. It's not just some benefit or a privilege that the tax department might grant you if they feel like it. No, this reinforces the idea that when you fulfill all the legal conditions, your ITC is a statutory legal right. And that brings us to a final thought to chew on. While this decision is a massive victory for taxpayers, it definitely shifts the burden squarely onto the tax authorities. So the big question now is, with the honest buyer protected, what new challenges is the government going to face in actually tracking down and getting the money from those defaulting suppliers? This ruling secures fairness, for sure, but it also demands a much smarter, more robust enforcement system from the tax department.